we are going to be learning how to use GameFroot to make this epic e-safety themed platform game. So this is cool. We've got weapons that we can fire. We can destroy, hopefully, fake evil Batman, who is an internet predator and not particularly very nice. We've got story points, which are our e-safety tips. We've got switches. Oh, look at that. We've got a moving platform. How cool is that? We're going to shimmy along there. More story points, keys that we can use to unlock doors and then complete the level. Hurrah, that is what we're going to be learning how to do. So I'm going to show you this from the top. So the first job is to head on over to GameFroot.com. Now I know the website address here is slightly different, but just find GameFroot.com, it will take you here. Then head over to login and you can log in using your school Google account. Once you're in, it will look something like this. So we are going to create a new, not a new blank game, but we're going to create a platform game from the template because it makes life a lot easier than doing it all from scratch. On the right hand side, it shows us our tutorial. Now don't forget, you need to click on this button, let's go. That will then automatically load all of the media that we're going to need for our project. We're not going to follow this exact tutorial, but we do need to give this project a name, so I'm going to call this e-safety game. Create. Right, so on the right hand side here we've got this tutorial. We're not going to follow this exactly for today, but if you do need a tutorial at any point you can open it, but I'm going to close this. Right, now if you want to play the default game, you can, but I am just going to get going. So on the right hand side we've got levels. We've got start screen, the game and the game over. I'm going to add a brand new level using the cog right here. Oh, need to click on that twice. I'm going to give this level a name. I'm going to call it e-safety themed level. Then I'm going to drag it to the top using these two lines here. Right, so that means that when I play the game it's going to launch this level straight away. Right, I don't have to go via the start screen. It will just help me to test the game really quickly. So I'm going to click back onto media. These are all the different assets that we can include in our lovely game. At the moment with our layers we've just got a background layer, so let's start off by adding a background. So here's some backgrounds. Click once on a background and then click onto your canvas. Now you only need one background. You don't need lots of backgrounds here because GameFroot's really clever. It knows that we want to use this background, so it will automatically scale and move it as it is required. There's this little eye icon here. If you ever click on that, what do you think might happen? Yes, it disappears, right? That's to help us prevent editing a layer when we don't want to. What we can also do is you can lock layers as well. So it doesn't disappear, but it just stops us from editing them by mistake if we don't mean to. Right, let's add a special kind of layer. It's called a tile map. So click on the little add button, then new tile map. Right, and then on the left hand side there are what is called terrain brushes. Here they are, and we can use this to draw our platforms. Right, so I'm going to do this now and I'm going to check back with you in 2 ticks. Right, here are my platforms. So a few little tips with this. First off, if you need to delete anything you can use this one to erase them. And if you are changing levels, then the character can jump up about 2 squares at a time. So if you want to be able to jump up anything, make sure you allow a couple of blocks maximum. If it was 3 or 4 high, it might not be able to get to that height. You can use a middle mouse button if you're using a 3-button mouse to navigate the terrain, or you can use the hand button, which is very handy. Right, so here is my basic terrain. Right, what's happened to, oh, here's my layers. I moved my layers as well. There it is. So that's the tile map. Let's now add the player. Now it's really important in GameFroot that every type of object goes on a different layer. That will prevent us from getting confused with what's what. So I'm going to click on the little add button, create a new layer, and I'm going to create a layer for our player. If I can spell, there we go, player. And then I'm going to click and add. We've only got one player we can choose from, but it's quite a groovy little ninja character. I think we need some weapons as well, so let's click on the little add another one, and I'm going to call this, where's the weapons on here? There it is, there's the weapon, so I'll double click, call this weapon. We probably need some bullets as well, so create one called bullets and put the bullets on there. The bullet can go anywhere. Oh, I didn't actually put the weapon on there, so I'll click back onto the weapon layer and add that. So it's really important that when you are adding anything that you click on the relevant layer, right? So if you're adding tiles, click on the tile map. If you're adding players, click on the player layer, and so on, right? It just helps to keep everything nice and organized. So we've got our weapon, we've got our bullet, we've got our ninja character. What else do we need? I think we need, if you remember from the demo, some form of instant death to add some trepidation to our game. So with the instant death layer selected, I am going to find some instant death options. We've got some cactus or some laser beams of some description. Let's choose these and put them in below here. Right, we're also going to have story points in our game which are all to do with eSafety. So I'm going to click on plus and then a new layer and create one called, not sorry points, story points. Or story points, there we go. And here is a story point I am going to add just here. Now just be careful that you do actually select a story point, because there's some items in here that are similar but aren't actually story points. For example, there's a checkpoint. We don't want a checkpoint, and we definitely don't want anything from uncategorized, because this is from an older version of GameFroot and anything from there might not work properly. So here's our story point. We can add a message on here. So for example, giving away your password is like going down instant death. Sounds a bit dramatic, but we can exaggerate a little bit, can't we? Have a little bit of fun. So that's the first story point. I'm going to add another one with my story point layer selected. I am going to add another story point over here and put another message in here. So not everyone is who they say they are on the internet. Be aware that Batman is not at all nice. Be aware that this Batman is not at all nice, because we are going to add another layer for our fake evil Batman. NPC stands for non-player component. We use this for adding baddies. So from here, which one should we use? I decided to use Batman, but there's some other ones you can play around with. There's all sorts in here, but I'm going to add this one because I know it works. So I'll put that here. Don't worry that that Batman's facing the wrong way. It will automatically flip around as we approach Batman in the game. Now, I also mentioned that we can have moving platforms. So I'm going to add a new layer and call this moving platform, and I'm going to find in here somewhere, oh, moving tile. Okay, I'll call it moving platform, but same difference. I will put it here. Okay, I'll rename it to be consistent, right? Moving tile. And I don't want it to be active, right? Because I only want this to become active when we switch the switch, right? So I'm going to disable this, and I want to set its end location. That's where it will move to when we flick a switch. So I'm going to click on this one and then set its endpoint, which will be over here. Right, don't worry about getting this exactly straight. It doesn't matter that much. So let's create a switch that will control that platform. So another new layer. As you can see, there's an awful lot of layers, but it will help us keep nice and organized. Switches. Right, so let's find the switches. There they are. I'm going to use one of these. And on here, you'll notice that it has this property called moving tile. Right, so moving tile tag. So whatever goes in here, moving tile, has to match the tag that's in here, moving tile. Right, so if you want to create another moving platform, you just change the name of the tag, right, for the platform, and then just make sure the name of the tag in the switch that controls it matches up with it. Right, I hope that makes sense. Let's add a story point to go with that. Can you think of something that will go with a switch? Something about e-safety. Something like, make sure that you switch your profile settings to private to keep out the baddies. How about that? Something like that. Right, so that's a great e-safety tip, that is. So we get to the story point, switch the switch, and then maybe we want some instant death under there, just to remind people how important it is to check your privacy settings if you are using social media, right, and check all that information that you put online that people won't be able to use or abuse it. Right, so we have the switch, which will control the platform, and then let's maybe have some more over here. One more. Let's add now a key and a door. So another new layer, key, and where is the key? The key is here somewhere. There it is. I'm going to add one of these. You can add a different key if you want. So I'm going to add a key over here, and we want that to open a door. So I'll add a new layer for our lovely door. Scroll up. Where are the doors? Doors. Did you see the doors? Have I gone by it? Check. Oh, there they are. Doors. Oh, there's all sorts of snazzy doors here. I'll just use one of these for the time being. Put that there. And we also want the endpoint in the game, which will be this flag. And I think we need another story point to go with that key. Can you think of a story point that would go with a key? Let me put that story point there. We could have something like, make sure you use two-factor authentication as the key to your account where you can. If you don't know what two-factor authentication is, that's something you can Google and look up and then tell your teacher that you know to really impress your teacher. Right, let's see if by some sheer miracle I've done everything correctly and it works. Right, let's have a go. Hit that play button. Right, collect the weapon. That's our first story point. Second story point. Here's Batman. I made that one quite easy to get rid of. You can add more enemies if you want to. Here's our switch. Here's the platform. Oh, something just suddenly buzzed and it freaked me out. There's our key. Jump over through the door. Yes, that worked. That's amazing. Right, so under levels, if you want, you can put that under the start screen, so then it will display the start screen first. And then you can add extra levels if you want to. So when you run it now, it will look something like this, right? So you got the start screen first, hit play, and then it takes you to the game. Right, that's creating an e-safety themed game using GameFroot. So you've learnt about using layers, hopefully hiding and locking layers, all the different tools that you can use, thinking about sequence and design. So see what you can come up with.